Well, I'm so excited today because we are interviewing a wonderful guest who wrote this fabulous book called Prosperity Meditations. And we are speaking with Susan Shumsky, who has written 20 books, and a lot of them are behind her. So you can see all these wonderful spiritual and evolutionary books that she's written. And she has a fascinating background. Both of us kind of commensurated that we were from the same generation. We were flower children growing up during the Vietnam War, becoming of age. And it was a time where we're looking for peace and prosperity and really, like she said, nirvana. So I'd like you to just tell a little bit about your background from when you first started meditating up to right now, and we'd love to hear it.
Well, I was a hippie in the 60s. And during that ancient time, those of us who were flower children, it wasn't really just all about sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Mhm.
We were actually seeking higher consciousness. We were seeking nirvana. And our gurus at that time were like Timothy Leary and Richard Alpert, who later became Ram Dass. And they told us to turn on, tune in, and drop out. So that's what we were doing. And we were trying to attain higher consciousness through LSD. Well, that didn't work out too well. At least it didn't work out for me very well.
Mhm.
But I still wanted to reach nirvana. So I was reading Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda.
Yes.
And I was reading the Buddhist scriptures and The Way of Zen by Alan Watts and other books by Alan Watts. And in his books, he said that you have to find a meditation guide.
Yeah.
Well, in the mid 20th century, you didn't exactly go to the yellow pages and search for meditation guide or anything remotely similar to that.
And no
And
internet.
no internet back then, no. So I asked a friend, how do I find this meditation guide? And he said, well, have you ever tried to meditate by yourself? I said, okay, well, I'll try, I'll give it a shot. So I lay on my bed and I sort of prayed for or asked for a meditation. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't even know you're supposed to sit up when you meditate. But immediately I was propelled into this ecstatic state, and I could feel this rush or cord of energy rushing from the tips of my toes all the way up to the top of my head. And I felt like I was plugged into an electric socket, but in a most ecstatic way, cosmic electric socket. And I thought, well, I guess this is meditation. I didn't know that not only had I had my first meditation experience, but also Kundalini awakening all at the same time without any drugs or stimulants or anything.
Yeah. And no guide.
Right. No one to guide me. And not long after that, a friend took me to the Transcendental Meditation Center. And I saw the picture of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi up on the wall there, who later became the guru of the Beatles. And as soon as I saw his picture, I knew immediately this is where I would learn real meditation. And in fact, I did learn. It was the same year that you learned,
Yeah.
Mari.
Yeah.
You told me you learned in 1967.
Yep.
So yeah, and then after that, I loved meditation so much that immediately I wanted to become a teacher. So I kept applying for teacher training courses and applying, and they kept telling me I was too young to apply. But eventually I did go to India. And then I ended up being on Maharishi's personal staff. So I was with him for 6 years on his personal staff, and I lived in his various ashrams throughout the world for 2 decades. And the rest, after being there for a long time, I learned another type of meditation that I liked better. And so I started writing books about that. And I've written 20 books. I have 20 books in print, 36 foreign editions, and I've won 43 book awards.
Wow. Yeah. And I had seen another interview with you about how you would sometimes meditate hours and hours during the day instead of like the 20-minute in the morning and the 20-minute in the afternoon, which is what they were trying to teach us. I was at college. You have your mantra and you say it, but you were really almost like a monk, weren't you?
Yes. Well, when you were with Maharishi and you were on these long meditation retreats, really is what they were, you were meditating many, many hours a day. Even the Beatles, when they went to India, George and John, well, actually all of the Beatles, all four of the Beatles, they were meditating up to 8 hours a day when they were there in Rishikesh with Maharishi.
Mm.
And at way back then, we used to, like, there was a competition who would meditate the longest. You know, we used to meditate up to 20 hours a day, actually,
Yeah.
on these courses.
Wow. You'll get a kick out of this. You know that song, Jai Guru Deva. We named my ex-husband and I went to school and we learned to meditate together. We named our dog Jai Guru Dev. That was Maharishi's teacher, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Gurudev.
So I
That's
thought
a common expression in India. Gurudev means you're respected, your glory to the respected teacher, Jai
Yes.
Gurudev.
Yeah.
And Maharishi used to say that hundreds of times every day. He would say, Jai Gurudev, Jai Gurudev. He'd say that all the time. So the Beatles put that in one of their songs, the Across the Universe,
was my dog.
written by John Lennon.
Yeah. And she was, by the way, very evolved dog because of it, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, let's talk a little bit about, you have so many wonderful books, getting into, prayer and meditation and all these different things that you've evolved. And I still do transcendental meditation. I don't know any other. So that's easy for me because I've been doing it for so long. But in here, you have so many beautiful meditation and you kind of blend it with a 5-step prayer process as well for many of these. So let's talk a little bit about, why did you do this book? Why did you write this?
Well, it's a really simple answer. My publisher asked me to write the book. A lot of my books are like that. My publisher has said, hey, can you write a book about chakras? Hey, can you write a book about auras? Hello, can you write a book about, energy?
Yeah, and
Can you write a book about energy healing? Just whatever it was that my publisher asked me to write, I would write.
Well, you tap into that feeling, though. You tap into the energy of prosperity.
Absolutely. I think it's one of my best books.
I love it. I need one of your meditations on health right now. Excuse me. So let's talk a little bit about, why is it that right now we're going through kind of a recession, right? So prosperity, people are thinking money. So what is prosperity to you?
To me, prosperity is living fullness of life, living life to its full, not just necessarily monetarily, but in every aspect of life, which is health, relationships, career, purpose, passion. So many areas of life lived to the full is true prosperity.
Yes. And I remember, I think I was reading something that you had written about how there was a time that you were working and you had this voice telling you, you need to be doing this, this work, this spiritual work. And you were working, like a 9-to-5 job, and you didn't want to give that up because of fear for prosperity. And then you were about to teach a class, and for one reason or another, you didn't get the security pass that you needed that day, and you just got up and left. And then the universe just had you fired, and everybody was so happy.
Well, yeah, my spiritual guides, my inner teachers were having a party when they fired me, but
right.
But I actually begged for my job back, and it did not end well because I ended up in the hospital 4 times getting operations on my leg. I really lost my leg because I didn't listen to the inner guidance.
Yeah. And don't we all have that inner guidance, kind of like saying, do this, and your logical mind goes, how am I going to have the money if I do this? Or how am I going to be able to make rent if I do this? Or, what are people going to think if I do this? And, I go through that myself, as I evolve myself, like, okay, you get this pull, like you're supposed to do this, and you go, oh, that doesn't make sense, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's about listening to your guides. And so you do listen to your guides now? Is that
I really do my best. I'm not perfect at it. I don't think anyone can be, because I think it's impossible to be 100% have that much faith to just trust everything that spirit tells you. But I do my best. I try my best to do that. And I've found that it's just created so many miracles in my life. And of course, from experience comes faith. When you have amazing experiences and miracles are taking place all around you all the time, that increases your faith, increases your trust in that inner voice and following it and listening to it, because
right?
so many just spectacular things are happening all the time.
I know. And so how is it that what was your first book that you wrote? Was that Maharishi and Me, or what was your first book that you wrote?
Maharishi and Me was written in 2018. I mean, it's published in 2018.
Oh, okay.
But it took 20 years to write that book. But the first 20 years, the first book that was published is called Divine Revelation. And that's about the method of divine revelation, which is about learning how to listen to that inner voice and how to trust it, and how to tell the difference between that true divine voice and other voices in your mind, how to test whether the message that you're getting is the real thing.
Right. It's like they say, listen to your gut. Well, your gut really is your higher power, or those guys talking to you. And whenever I don't listen, I'm always sorry. I don't know if anybody thinks like that, but it's like my gut says don't do that, and you go, oh, it doesn't make sense logically, I should do that, and then you do it and you go, I should have listened to my
I should have listened. I should have listened.
I should have listened to my gut. Well, what I really loved about this book, Prosperity Meditations, Everyday Practices to Create an Abundant Life, which prosperity really is abundance in all ways, is you break it down to so many different categories, like health, relationships. So you can use this book rather than just reading it, page by page, which what I did, but you can go to the table of contents and
actually even better is the appendix.
The appendix has it too.
There's an appendix that has every one of the methods, every one of the techniques is written out the title of it is written in the appendix.
Right, I did that. It says choose your meditation, right? Journey to the infinite. So let's talk a little bit about these chapters, because I think the way you put it together is really a good an organization that I can relate to. You talk first about unlimited thinking. How do we get to that unlimited thinking? Because so many of us have limited, like, oh, I can't do that. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not young. I used to say I'm not old enough. Now I say I'm not young enough, right?
Yeah, well, there's always some excuse. We always make some kind of excuse as to why we're failing. Yeah, because we're not really focused and focused on our purpose, on our passion, and taking the time and energy and resources to fulfill our destiny, to fulfill our passion. So that's why it's important for us to have to expand our thinking, to have unlimited thinking, rather than be bound by tradition, by whatever it is, traditions, beliefs, habits, ideas that no longer serve us. So unlimited thinking. So in fact, I have an unlimited thinking exercise that people can do to help them to get in touch with their true purpose and destiny.
Yeah. Do you want to show us a little bit about that?
Well, we'd have to actually do that. I think it would take too long.
Okay.
We have only a short time. We don't have really a real long interview. So we don't have time to do the practice. But it's called the unlimited thinking exercise. And I do recommend that people do that.
Yeah. And I think meditation, let's explain to our audience about how meditation helps you to get out of that unlimited thinking. Because I think that's
Yeah.
important. People think that meditation is like, oh, I have to be or I'm a yogi, or I have to be a Buddhist. It really isn't anything like that, right?
No, it's not. Meditation is really just about getting quiet and still and getting centered, getting integrated and whole. It's the experience of wholeness, the experience of actually the word yoga, which means integration of consciousness. It's not an exercise in a gym, yoga. It is that state of, yoga is a state. It's a state of consciousness. It's a state of integration, of feeling content and whole and feeling fulfilled, absolutely fulfilled. And that's really the goal of meditation, is to experience that state of wholeness, that state of completeness.
Mhm.
And when you're in that state, that's unlimited. It's the unlimited thinking. It's the unlimited state of consciousness. So
Right.
that's what you can attain through meditation. That's why it's so important.
For me, it also is a state of peace.
Right.
It's really a
Peace.
state of peace. And for me, I've been doing it since I was 19 years old, and I remember when I first started, I started out as a teacher, and that was scary to go before a bunch of high school kids in the beginning. And I remember by meditating every morning before I went to class, I'd get up, extra early, an extra half hour early, so I could do my 20-minute meditation. And then I would be peaceful. And then I could go in and face all these crazy kids,
That's right. When
And
you're in a state of inner peace and contentment,
yeah,
it's so much easier to face the challenges of life. You can
right. And
face
then
them
if
with
somebody, you
grace.
don't react, you don't get as reactive, at least for someone like
Exactly.
me who's very, and you're passionate too. So for someone like me, if I'm really passionate about things, if I'm not in check with my passion and anger, if someone says something to me, I can be peaceful. I don't have to react. I don't have to have a knee-jerk reaction. I can pause, I can kind of relax a little, and then I can respond. And I think that's so needed in our society. When I look at all the craziness of people online saying things that they would never say to somebody's face, right? And the politicians, the kind of things that they say, that if they were all meditating, I don't think that they would be talking like that. Do you?
If a lot of people would meditate, if a majority of people in the world would meditate, we would have heaven on earth. And that's reality. That's true.
I remember, and you probably know this much more than I do, but I remember they were doing studies that Maharishi, when I used to watch the videos that they brought in when we come together, Maharishi would talk about the studies that Harvard was doing when people meditated together, and how it actually had the crime go down in New York City while people were meditating. So there's empirical evidence that it really makes a difference, and also for heart attacks and other health benefits. So I think when I tell people I meditate, they kind of look at me like, what are you, a weirdo, and it really is something that now they call it mindfulness, so that people don't get as worried about that maybe you're going to want to make them into Hindu or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Use words that are more politically correct, shall we say?
yeah. Or just more scientific, like what happens, I think what's
Right.
brilliant is what happens in your brain, the neuroscience of meditation.
Right. And there's been a lot of studies on meditation. In fact, during Maharishi's lifetime, while he was still alive, there were at least 500 meditation studies. And I'm sure that since then, there's probably been thousands.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And, Daniel.
But he was the first one Maharishi was the first one to make scientific research a priority and to study the effects of transcendental meditation.
And I think that's really healthy because science is really explaining mysticism and giving it credibility. So
Right.
yeah,
That's true.
so I think that the more studies that there are on, on our health, our biology, on how people react, children can get along, or what happens in prisons when they meditate, that this is not woo-woo stuff. And I feel fortunate that you and I have been doing it before a lot of that research was really made known to the masses like it is
Right.
now. Yeah, yeah. So you have here about unlimited good. You have a whole chapter on unlimited good. And I love what you have about like the prosperous career, the meditations for having a prosperous career, because some people work in a job that they hate.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why it's so important for us to really discover our purpose and our mission in life before we go out and get a job.
Yeah.
It's a good idea to find out really what you're here for and what your priorities really are.
Exactly.
Before you take a job that's you're going to be miserable.
Yeah, yeah. So we don't have a lot of time, believe it or not. Our time has flown. But I thought maybe you could, and I'm happy to go over a little if you don't mind, to just give us a short visualization to kind of attract prosperity and abundance. And I'll be your guinea pig. So if you would just,
okay, let me just
at
look
least
up
we can
the.
give people a taste of what's in this wonderful book.
I'm just going to look up the miracle making visualization.
Okay.
And all right, so why don't we just get comfortable in our chairs and just close our eyes. Yeah. And just keep your eyes closed until I tell you to open them.
Yes.
So let's take a big deep breath together. Breathe in and let it go. Big deep breath of divine love. Breathe in and release. Big deep breath of relaxation. Breathe in and let it all go. Peace, peace, be still. Be still and be at peace. All things are created from formless thought stuff, which in its primal state permeates and fills the entire cosmos. By repeatedly projecting an imagined thought into this formless substance, it manifests physically. Now visualize this formless substance as a blank movie screen in your mind's eye. When you frequently imprint a crystal clear picture, photo, or movie image of a goal upon your mental screen, it materializes in physical form. Now begin to form a single, clear, definite mental image of one goal you wish to attain, one that aligns with your true purpose. Focus solely on the idea or vision of that goal. Identify it as a precise picture or movie. Allow that idea to fully take shape and consume you. Take a few moments to build a mental image of it, then place it upon your movie screen and watch it play out. Now imagine yourself in the image or movie. See yourself fulfilling your goal, while at the same time feeling deeply grateful that this desire, along with your other desires, are granted. Maintain a vital, sincere, deep, continuous feeling of gratitude for all the blessings of formless substance. Now begin to feel the emotions of that fulfillment. How does it feel to manifest your goal? What are you seeing, hearing, feeling in your body, in your mind? Envision all these feelings now as you imagine your goal is fulfilled. Now imagine your heart flooded with the golden light of fulfillment, and those light rays connect your heart to the goal portrayed on the screen. Your heart is unified, merged, and one with your goal on the screen. You are in full accord with your goal, and you are at peace. Now take a few moments to revel in the joy and celebration of attaining your goal. Now we're going to return from this visualization, but just keep your eyes closed until I tell you to open them. With gratitude in your heart, now blow out 4 times as if you are blowing out candles like this. Do that. Then return to inward and outward balance and open your eyes and just repeat after me audibly the following words. I am alert.
I am alert.
I am very alert.
I am very alert.
I am awake.
I am awake.
I am very awake.
I am very awake.
I am inwardly and outwardly balanced.
I am inwardly and outwardly balanced.
I am in control.
I am in control.
I am the only authority in my life.
I am the only authority in my life.
I am divinely protected.
I am divinely protected
by the light of my being.
By the light of my being.
Thank you, God, and so it is.
And thank you, God, and so it is. Very good. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Susan.
Thank you.
What a beautiful way to end. So I saw it. I saw the movie going on.
Cool.
That was great. Yes. So I want to recommend this wonderful book. I am going to be making a bunch of recordings from these so that I can listen to them. Prosperity Meditations by Susan Shumsky. And the subtitle is Everyday Practices to Create an Abundant Life. So it's fantastic. Anything you need, you can just go to the appendix and pull out what you need, whether it's health, whether it's purpose, whether it's whatever. So thank you, Susan. It was such a pleasure to share with you. Okay, Soul Sister Flower Girl. Okay, we will stay in touch for the next book that you're going to write, okay?
Well, the next book is coming out in October. It's called The Inner Light, How India Influenced the Beatles.
All right, let's do it. I used to love the Beatles, so all right. Well, thank you so much, and namaste.
Namaste.